Welcome back, everybody, from the news. And we have Vicki McLynn on the phone from Pannone. Good afternoon, Vicki.
Hi, Susie.
Oh, thanks for the phone in. We're very excited to be looking forward to lots of top tips to give our local people here. So do tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself and say where you work and things.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, delighted to be on the show. My name's Vicki McLynn, as Susie said, and I am a partner in the family department at Pannone Solicitors in Manchester. Pannone's we like to think a very vibrant firm. We're Manchester-based as 300 lawyers.
Wow.
Here at Pannone, and we do a wide range of work, private client and corporate work. As I say, I'm in the family department here, which is a team of 13 dedicated family law specialists. So we do nothing but family law work, biggest team outside London.
Wow.
So we do all aspects of family work. Divorce, which is probably the area of work that people most often associate when you say family law. So we deal with the divorce process and the financial issues that arise from that. We deal with arrangements for children when parents separate, either unmarried couples or divorcing couples. We act for couples who live together but don't marry. We deal with prenuptial arrangements.
So all sorts of areas, yeah.
Yeah, child abduction work. So, yeah, huge range of expertise. So there's 13 of us here, and we do nothing but that work. So
Great. Well, I know Pannone quite a bit, not just from you. Obviously, I know a lot of the other partners as well.
Yeah.
And I was up there in Manchester yesterday talking to Lisa. I don't know whether she told you.
Lisa Conley, yes, she did drop me an email to say, she's fantastic and doing some great work here.
Yes, on the entrepreneurial side. So that's what I love about Pannone. They're very innovative and they do very much care about their clients. And you do give added value. So I don't know how many of them are listening to hear you on air, obviously. But what we're looking for, Vicki, for the next 15, 20 minutes, obviously we've got music in between, but, I've got some great questions that you've suggested that I can talk to and ask people. But I'll ask you that and you'll give some tips, because in any community, we've got people going through family challenges, breakup challenges. Yeah. And obviously, think about some tips that you can, give value to our listeners. So at the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to hear a song and then I'll come back to you. Is that okay?
Absolutely, Susie.
Great.
I'll be ready and waiting.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Susie. Bye.
That was great. Now, welcome back. And obviously, we've still got Vicki on the phone from Pannone, and I'm in the studio here for our second hour of the afternoon, which is all about helping the community really with some tips. And if you're going through some challenging times right now. So we're going to kick off with divorce. Vicki, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi. Fantastic. So one question that's come in is if I get divorced, am I entitled to half of everything? So give us a few sort of angles on that. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we are quite often. There's a perception that, yes, it's, I'm entitled to half of everything. It is something we hear a lot. The answer is not necessarily. There is no, as it were, magic formula to say what the outcome should be in a divorce situation, which creates uncertainty, anxiety, and for people, understandably. There are a huge range of factors that come into play when looking at what the fair outcome should be when couples separate in terms of finances.
Right.
But the key always, if we're looking at these cases, and if ultimately and sadly they came before a court, would be to make sure that everybody's needs were met. And quite often I say that to people when they call me in the first instance, worried that, are they going to be okay? Are they going to be able to, quite literally put food on the table and look after themselves going forward if they've, not been perhaps the major breadwinner? And the answer is yes, because that is the first thing they look at, am I going to have enough to meet my needs? Half a division of the assets, that might be the money in the house or the savings. The starting point is 50-50 down the middle.
Okay, and then you work either side.
But then there's lots of other factors that come into play. How long have a couple been married? That might not be fair if a couple have only been married 18 months, 2 years. And if somebody's brought in a significant amount of money to the relationship, then dividing everything that they own in half wouldn't necessarily be right. I'm sure your listeners would probably agree. But equally, if a couple have been together 30, 40 years, been, very much a partnership, and even if one person's been the worker and somebody staying at home looking after the family in the home, it is a partnership, and an equal dividing of everything is the right answer in that situation. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you something. Yeah, there's no hard and fast rules. Each individual case presumably is looked at like that. So I'm going to ask you also, because I know we've discussed this under a social environment, but what about prenup agreements? Because we hear lots of that in the paper, whether it's from the celebrities or from just, normal people like us. Do they stand up? Do they not stand up? Are they a good thing before? I mean, a lot of people obviously live together, but we're talking specifically about marriage and things. Do you think they're a good thing, and do they stand up?
They certainly can be in certain circumstances, because, as I was describing before, there's a lot of uncertainty as to what the outcome might be in the event that, nobody likes to think when they're getting married that ultimately they are going to get divorced, but sadly it is a reality of life today. But there are uncertainties in terms of, say, there is no formula. So one of the benefits of a prenup is that it can avoid that uncertainty, because you can set out in writing, you and your husband or wife can sit down and say, look, in the event that things don't work out how we hope, and we very much hope that we don't ever have to look at this document, we don't want to find ourselves engaged in court proceedings or falling out over these things. So let's say now what we want to happen in the event that that this marriage doesn't work out in the way that we hope, and that can be as to everything, what the overall outcome should be, or what quite often prenups are used to do is protect a particular asset, maybe a property that you own before the marriage.
Yeah, that's true.
Something that you've inherited, a business that you've built up. So that's one of the most common reasons people enter into prenups. Quite often we also see them where there are second marriages involved, perhaps people in the later years where they're not going to have so much time to recoup perhaps their financial position if things didn't work out, and they want to make sure that if the relationship breaks down, they're going to be okay going forward. So they want to protect what they've got then, and to make sure that if there was a separation, that their husband or wife wasn't able to take away some of their future security. So that's the other situation. I think probably most commonly we see them either to protect a particular asset, as I say, maybe a property that's been in the family for some time. Okay,
you can ring fence them and that sort of thing.
You can ring fence them, exactly.
And I like the fact what you said earlier is it's personal. I think if a couple decide to make those important points, they're protecting themselves, and they've done it together, and they've both been open about it, whether it's two men, two women, male, female. I think it's very important, especially in this day and age, to do that. Well, there's some good tips there. So let's listen to another song, and then we'll come back and talk about another angle of law, and helping people. So let's go for Ozzy Osbourne, Rock and Roll Rebel.
Competitive Edge on Redshift Radio, sponsored by the South Cheshire Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Great, we're back talking to Vicki from Pannone's, and we're going to change tack now, because I know this happens, Vicki, in lots and lots of different communities. But obviously, if my partner has been violent towards me, we know that could be female to male, male to female. So that's going on, obviously, hidden behind doors. So give us some tips that if anybody's listening and they really are struggling with what to do, how will they go about it?
Yeah, it is all too common, and in a whole variety of backgrounds and situations, as you say, between men and women on men. It's and people do tend to feel very isolated and trapped.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, there are things that you can do to get out of that, what can often be a cycle. First thing to do, definitely is to contact the police.
Is that the first stage?
Have designated officers, departments who are very, very used to dealing with the sensitivities of these, who are confidential. You can speak to them. They're not necessarily going to come round, but talk to them, explain the situation. They can give you coping strategies. If you have sustained an injury, if you've been hurt, do go and report it to the doctor. Even if you're not actually you don't feel at this stage you want to take matters any further, get it on record that that's happened. Go and
that's a good point.
And have that recorded. And if you have got a solicitor, or even if you haven't got a solicitor, there are steps that we can take. There are laws in place that the courts will support you.
But sometimes they're fearful of doing that, aren't they? They're frightened sometimes, even of saying it to the police in case they get beaten up even worse.
Absolutely. That things have to happen very, very quickly because of that. But things can happen. If you went to see your solicitor, you'd suffered an assault. There are that morning, your solicitor can take you to court.
So it can happen the same day.
It can all happen the same day. In fact, the courts prioritise these types of cases. There are measures that can be taken. You don't need to. There is no need to. And the judges are specialist judges that deal with these kind of cases. Family specialists are very, very aware of the importance of dealing with these cases quickly. There are protective measures that can be taken to protect you and to protect children, particularly, obviously, where there are concerns if you are at risk of harm, if the children are at risk of harm. All those agencies will support you, but you do have to act quickly, and your solicitor would support you in taking those steps. So,
and then you would get notified through the police angle, or unless somebody could, dial into you, and we'll give out your details later. You can then be brought into the loop very quickly, can't you?
Absolutely. One of the benefits here at Pannone, there are 13 of us, so if somebody can't see you, there will be somebody else who can, you can ring at 9 o'clock and have a meeting with at 10 o'clock and be down at court at 12 o'clock.
Do you have a 24-hour number if anybody rang into you overnight to leave messages or get home?
It wouldn't come. We would, as soon as anybody came through the door in the morning, we would pick up a message that had happened. I mean, if you were a victim of violence in one evening, the priority obviously is to keep yourself safe, so get out of the property. But then as soon as you can in the morning, get on the phone and call a solicitor. If you're in the property, you're suffering an assault, ring the police. I mean, the priority has got to be obviously to protect your safety, and if that means walking out of the house, then do walk out of the house, because equally there are measures that can be taken. The court can make orders to get you back in that property and get whoever it is that's committed the assault out of the property. So obviously look after yourself, look after the children, but very quickly report to the police and get in touch with the solicitor, because things can be done to protect you. You are entitled. You shouldn't have to be. You shouldn't have to move out of your home. You shouldn't have to destabilise your children by forcing them to move out of your home if you are the victim. The person who's causing the harm, inflicting the violence, is the one that should have to move themselves.
And hopefully then the police would act on that, wouldn't they, as well?
Hugely supportive. I think sometimes there's a concern they won't be sympathetic, that it's just a domestic issue. Well, that isn't true. They take it very seriously.
That's
very seriously indeed. And,
good to know. Okay, excellent. Well, that's great tips. Obviously contact the police immediately, refer anything to the doctor so they can be recorded, and then obviously get in touch with yourselves or a local solicitor or anything. Great. Well, I mean, there's two angles that we've covered there. We've covered, marriage, and obviously we could go on and on and on. I will have you again in the future, like I said, and we do appreciate the phone in. I'm going to be playing some of your favourite songs later, and I will announce it. But I just wanted to obviously say a big thank you to you from Pannone. And obviously, just before I get all your details, so how people can get a hold of you on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever. But, I just wanted to say hello to your team there, because I believe last year from the department, four got married and 2 got engaged. So hello to all of you there.
Yes, and we're certainly not put off marriage in this team here.
No, I hope you've got the prenup agreement. That's what I'm going to say to everybody there. That would be good. So great, Vicky. How can we get hold of you specifically, or the firm? Give us all your details. Twitter, LinkedIn.
First of all, thank you for having me on, Susie, and I hope obviously your listeners have taken
they will have done
information away. We're always very, very, and all the team here, always happy to have a chat if someone's got any worries or concerns.
And that's free of charge, isn't it? Sometimes a chat first.
Absolutely. Yeah. Give us a call and tell us sort of what the concerns are, the worries, and we can let you know whether you need to be doing something at that stage, or
good idea.
Point you in the right direction. Absolutely. And we've got a fab website, loads of resources, information. I've been talking about domestic violence, about what happens if you divorce, about the divorce process. Loads of information on the website, which is pannone.co.uk. So there's lots of information on there if people want to have a look.
Pannone, isn't it, how they spell it?
Pannone. Telephone number is we're on 01619093000. So if you come through to the family team, lots of us here, always very happy to chat. We're also on Twitter. We're at divorce_experts.
Great.
So all of those, there's lots of things, lots of information on the website, lots of things, on Twitter, we've got a very active blogs, with lots of information on there. So, but most of all, I would say, to anyone listening that has got any concerns or issues, or knows anyone that is experiencing any of these problems, give us a call. We'll have a chat and we can take it from there.
Okay, Vicky, well, it's been great to speak to you. We'll obviously catch up in due course in time. I'm going to play one of your favourite songs, Set Fire to the Rain by Adele now. But thank you for coming in. I wish you a fab weekend, and we will speak soon.
You too, Susie.
God bless.
To chat.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Set Fire to the Rain, Adele, on behalf of Vicky